So now we talked about supply chain design. Now we're gonna talk about supply chain integration. So a very very important concept in supply chain management. Okay, so companies, understanding what is the situation that you have a lot of suppliers and you have to customers that kind of work different and have different ways to the product to reach the customer. There's an information and a product flow happening there, and integration to supply chain means, okay, how do I effectively coordinate all this chain of supplies and supplies coming from different places and the flow of information going up and down the supply chain, right? So uh, there's a chain of supply that's called the supply chain. Yeah, little secret there. So it's a chain of supplies, have product going one way, cash another way, information going everywhere, and you have different actors that are, the little pieces into this chain, right? And you have to make sure that all of them hold whenever you have kind of problems that occur. We're going to take a look at some parts of supply chain management. We talked a lot about the operations management, which is the order fulfillment process. We're going to talk about these other processes, the supplier relationship process, and we're not going to touch customer relationship process very much. We're going to focus on supply chain process. And the supply chain process, we're going to talk about these two supplier selection. So supplier selection is a very important critical role that the companies have. Is okay, a product is going to be my responsibility, but I'm going to use suppliers components there. So they need to be trustworthy, and it need to be good, and need to be have the quality that I need, because the customer will be impacted and buy my product, right? So we're gonna see two kind of simple examples just for you guys to understand uh, uh, what supplier selection means. One is a cost model, and one is a qualitative model. So this cost model used total cost analysis, so kind of looking at different aspects. There are a lot of other stuff related to supplier relationship, uh, collaboration in design and product development, negotiation, buying, inventory management, and cooperation, and all kind of bunch of different stuff. Several people that go into operation supply chain major actually go to supplier relationship, because that's a big part of supply chain management. So if we think about decisions and supply chain design, right? So every product component that goes into to the product that the company sells, the company has uh, decision to make and have the two options, right? You either produce it internally, a product, so that's one option. And let's say that we're talking about BMW and they want to buy tires, right? So they can either make their own tires, produce internally, and then making buying or creating a plant in the United States, or they can produce their own tires, but they're going to put the plant in Mexico, Brazil, Russia, China, India, whatever they want. Okay. The other option is for them to buy from suppliers. So they're going to, instead of, well, let's not go into tire business because we don't want to have anything to do with the rubber extraction and all that dirty stuff. So let's buy from Continental, let's buy from Michelin or whoever it is, and let's buy from suppliers. So that's called outsource. And then if they're going to buy from suppliers, they also can decide to buy from suppliers that have plants here in the United States. Like Michelin has a plant here in Colombia. Continental has a plant in Sumter. So they can buy from plants here, or they can say, no, let's buy tires from these other countries. Michelin has plants, or Continental has plants in these other countries, right? So it's two decisions and makes it four different options, right? So they can produce internally or buy from suppliers, and either of those, they can do it in the United States or they can do elsewhere. And if they do elsewhere, we're going to call it offshore. Okay. So this is an explanation of these kind of concepts that we're going to learn about. Okay. So outsourcing is basically giving something to be done by a supplier. So that's outsourcing. Offshoring is offshore, right? And then, outsource, right? You have another source that it's outside. Offshore means that I have a source that is in another shore, right? In another continent, right? And something that we're talking a lot about now is reshoring, right? Where companies went and put their plants in other countries, like India, China, Russia, whatever it is. And then, with these incentives to coming back to the United States, with the lower taxes and other incentives, they're reshoring. So they're coming back, actually producing here. So there's some factors that companies analyze and try to understand whenever they trying to decide if they're going to outsource or they're going to offshore something. This is based on comparative labor cost, where we're going to get better labor cost, how I'm going to work with the rework and returns, what are going to be logistics, tariffs, markets, energy, internet, and all of that. Okay, so when I talk about market effects, is the fact that companies use the fact that they're here in US to actually sell more products, right? So I think there's Wendy's have a campaign saying, that we don't freeze meat, it's from US, or other companies use kind of that same catchphrase that they make here in US, so they're giving jobs to Americans and blah, blah, blah. And then that's what we call a market effect, so they can sell more because of that. So what I want you guys to do that now is to fill out this table. So thinking about these aspects: comparative cost, rework returns, logistics, taxes, market effects, labor, political and economic instability. Which one is better, right? Staying US or developing countries, right? And kind of describe a little bit each one of them. Okay, so I'm going to pause it here. I'm going to finish this video here, and I want you guys to write down some notes about these aspects here, and I'm going to talk about them later on in my next video. Do that. I'm watching.